Ashley, and it's a great pleasure to be here to introduce the next speaker. My name is John Braun. I am the state senator from the 20th Legislative District, and I have the good fortune to serve as the leader for the Senate Republican Caucus. And my job this evening, I'm very proud to introduce my friend and colleague, your state senator, our newest member, to speak. And there's just two things I want to say. If you want to learn about him, if you don't already know him, you can read it in the program. There's two things I want to share with you this evening. One, Simon is a tremendous addition to our caucus. Those of you who know him already know he's a talented and eloquent speaker. But he also brings a youth and energy to our caucus, and frankly, to our party that we desperately need. We need to connect with folks around the country, around the state rather, as we rebuild our party to prepare for the tsunami we've been talking about. The second thing, for anyone here who happens to live in the 42nd District, you should know that you're enormously well served. Simon's a quick study. He's thoughtful, he's careful, he's a good listener, and guided by conservative principles, he acts to make your lives better and lives around the state of Washington better. So it was great pride. I introduced my friend and colleague, Senator Simon Sefzik. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Senator Braun, for those kind words. It is important to make sure that our current Senate Minority Leader becomes the Senate Majority Leader here in 2023, and we're going to make that happen. So I want to thank Senator Braun. I'd also like to thank Senator Mazzal for being here and being incredible mentors to me over the past legislative session. It's an honor to be with each one of you. It's an honor to have you travel up here and hear me. I'd also like to make a specific note and thank Sandy Ruff as well, my legislative aide, who, when I first arrived, go ahead, please. As you could imagine, Sandy worked for Senator Erickson for longer than I have been alive. And I'm sure she was wondering what she had gotten herself into, but she worked with me every single day and has been the best office boss I could have ever asked for. And truly, my only wish is that she lived up here in Whatcom County so that I could get to hang out with her every single day. But Sandy has been fantastic. I'd also like to thank Melody Kirk, who's been my session aide this past session. We would be, I don't know where Melody is. She's probably helping. Yes, she's busy volunteering right now, but we would be lost without the Kirk family. And of course, there's somebody that is here who is not able to stand and be recognized, and that is Senator Doug Erickson. And I know what many of you may be thinking, and it's that Senator Erickson should be here right now, speaking and standing instead of me, and that's absolutely right. Over the past 11 weeks, I have had similar thoughts, and not a day has gone by where I haven't at some point wished that I could just say, what would Doug do? If Doug were here, what advice would he give me? What would he have said? But what I've constantly heard, and I've been so touched to hear from different Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats about the personal ways in which Senator Erickson touched them, not just on the Senate floor in his rhetoric, but in personal little moments that he had with them, to take the time out of his day to write them a letter or to get to truly know them, not as politicians, but as people. And that goes to show that he was not only a man of faith and a family, but he loved his county and his country, and he served it deeply and dearly. Yeah. So I would again like to. Now, like Mr. Heimlich said earlier, this past legislative session has been a whirlwind. The bottom line is that the majority party right now doesn't ultimately trust you. They don't trust you when it comes to how you spend your money. They don't trust you when it comes to public safety. They don't trust you when it comes to basic issues of emergency powers in our government. You know, we had a $16 billion surplus. They couldn't find a single way to make any meaningful tax reform or tax relief. like Caleb mentioned, we're here again. Some of you may have seen that I got gavelled down on the Senate floor for making what I still feel was a very apt comparison, comparing Governor Inslee to Darth Vader in a debate about emergency powers. And after that happened, there was a senator who texted me and said, Doug would have been proud of you because Doug's motto was, if you aren't getting gavelled down every once in a while, you're not trying hard enough. But this is the defining characteristic, I believe, and it's the reason that each one of you are here. You're not here because of me. You're not here because of yourself. You're here ultimately because of the future. Because each one of us has this radical notion, this belief that we as citizens know how to run our lives and spend our money better than a group of politicians and bureaucrats in a far distant capital. Yeah. It's this radical notion that we in this country have the ability to stay new and to stay fresh, protecting and defending freedom. As John Adams said, however, liberty once lost is forever lost. We've seen how true that is over the past 2 years as our rights seem to go farther and farther away and our freedoms are eroded from us. But the reason that you have worked so hard and sacrificed so much is because you believe in protecting this, Whatcom County, Washington State, and this country to give it and to give to your children a better life than the one that you inherited. But let me ask you this. Is your life better off than it was 2 years ago? And the answer is no. Is the life that your children are going to inherit better than the one you did? That's the ultimate task as Americans, to preserve and to defend our posterity as people and as a nation. America remains what Ralph Waldo Emerson said more than 150 years ago, the country of tomorrow. That's what we are. We are a country that is forever young, forever striving to be a more perfect union. And it's that belief, it's that reminder that we love our country, not for her wealth and not for her power, but because of her spirit, her idealism, and her love for the future and for freedom. It's been said before that America is special and unlike any other country on the face of the earth. A man had once written of America that you can go and live in France, but you cannot become a Frenchman. You can go to live in Germany or Turkey or Japan, but you cannot become a German or a Turk or a Japanese. But anyone from any corner of the earth can come to live in America and become an American. We talk all the time of this idea of an American experiment. And that's ultimately what we are. It's so easy these days to take our freedom and our future for granted, to assume that our destiny has always been guaranteed. But in 1776, a group of men of iron courage had the audacity to defy then the most powerful nation on earth and chart a new path in the course of human history. 80 years later, that American experiment was challenged and doubted in the Civil War, in which other nations laughed at us and said that this American experiment of self-government would surely fail. But we showed that we could stay a united union together. 80 years after that, freedom was threatened not just in America, but across the world. And we sent soldiers to bleed and die on the beaches of Omaha Beach because we believed that freedom was so worthwhile to defend that we were willing to do it for other nations and to liberate other countries as free people as well. And now, here we are, 80 years later, and we are tasked with that same question. Are we willing to stand up and fight to defend the freedoms that our ancestors did? Yes. Whether it was the fall of Berlin or a man coming down on the moon, America has shown that we have so much potential and we can go so far. We have seen so much, but the question is whether we have the same courage to do what our ancestors have done before us. Yes. We have to be willing to fight. And my friends, our fight may not be on a battlefield of blood and bullets, though that may be what it takes. But we also have to be willing to fight on the battlefield of ideas. When Adolf Hitler convinced an entire nation and propelled us into a world war, when Joseph Stalin rose through the ranks of the Bolshevik Party, and when Mao Zedong promised of a great leap forward, they were propelled ultimately by a wrong and dangerous idea. Their failed communist experiments and evil across the country cost hundreds of millions of lives. Ideas not only have consequences, they have body counts. But the right ideas carry with them hope. Bad ideas and good ideas can just as easily consume mankind now as they did in 1939. There's a story that's often told about the founding of America, that after forming the constitutional republic that the grave and grave-haired men of the founding had done, Benjamin Franklin left Liberty Hall, and he was riding on his horse when a group of men stopped him and they said, "Sir, what kind of government had you made in there?" Ben Franklin paused. He looked the men in the eyes on his horse and he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." My friends, that is our task. Whether we are willing to keep this republic that has stood for so long, or whether we are going to sentence our future into 1,000 years of darkness. The question is whether we can keep it. For hundreds of years, in the face of improbable odds, we have always been willing to answer that question and to live up to our calling. And we must be willing to do the same thing here tonight as well. So if you feel the same energy tonight that I do, if you feel the same hope for the future that I do, if you see the same optimism and the same potential that our county and our state and our country have tonight, then I ask you to join in this great movement of the Republican Party to retake our values, to reclaim our heritage, and to make a brighter future for everyone in the state of Washington and in this country. Thomas Paine said that we have the opportunity to make the world over again. He made those remarks in the 1700s when America was just being founded, and that opportunity still exists with us today. John Winthrop called America a shining city upon a hill. My friends, are we willing to keep that city? Are we willing to protect it and to defend it? If the answer to the question is yes, then I ask for your support as we support the Republican Party in retaking and revitalizing this great nation for our future. Thank you so much.